Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan has a mammoth task ahead of him as he prepares to deliver this year's mini-budget speech. He'll have to balance the country's priorities, like finding additional funds for tertiary education, while allocating enough money for basic services and infrastructure maintenance. At the same time, analysts are calling for prudence and constraint when it comes to expenditure by state-owned enterprises.
With the threat of arrest and fraud charges hanging over his head and university students protesting for free education, Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan is facing a severe test. Some analysts say Gordhan may be hesitant to deliver the fundamental reforms required to reignite South Africa's growth or to tackle the growing debt burden of state-owned enterprises. The SOE's debt from Eskom, SAA and other parastatals has risen to 467 billion rand, with the state's exposure at 258 billion rand. Earlier this year, the struggling state-run airline, SAA, received a 5 billion rand guarantee from Treasury.
Treasury came up with some proposals and conditions that SAA can only get this this guarantee if, for example, they can aggressively cut wasteful expenditure within the SAA, also get rid of loss-making routes, and at the same time also make some management changes. So the Treasury is really putting the necessary screws to its state-owned entities to give the necessary guarantees, but also to make sure that the state-owned entities meet up to their obligations to be profitable.
So it's a tricky one.
Analysts say the management of SOEs is very important. They have called for more certainty about corporate governance issues at the state entities.
I would expect to see more clarity from the minister in terms of what's happening around the corporate governance issue, the corporate governance issues at the SOEs. What are they doing around the possibility of introducing an equity partner at the state-owned airline? That's something that was initially announced in February and now appears as though they've stepped back on that specific kind of reform.
The minister is also likely to pronounce on the thorny issue of funding free university education. With the bill set at more than 90 billion rand over the next 3 months, analysts say government will have to rethink its spending. At the same time, Minister Gordhan is also likely to revise his growth forecast from the 0.9% he expected in February after the economy performed worse than expected. John Bailey, Johannesburg.